Hello, I'm Christos. I'm going to talk about my recent sponsored work from a foundation, which is still ongoing. And I'm working on audio. I guess I'm one of the only people who maintain it, or use it even, for more than listening to music. And so my initial desire for starting working on it was to be able to use it for music production. And because I know there are some more people who want to use it for creating music and not using Windows, for example, and having it all in one machine. So I will talk about some features that can make it easier, and also that it's already possible to make, I guess, music on FreeBSD and produce stuff. So if you need any help, here's my email. If your Intel driver breaks. So regarding the sound driver, most of the work has been bug fixes. I'm also making bugs while fixing some. And so a big part of it has been simplifying the code, because most of it is legacy code that hasn't been touched. More laptop support for especially the Intel laptops that need manual patching to the driver in order to work correctly. Also, I have updated the OSS API support to support some I/O controls better and provide more robust information. Also wrote some tests because they were non-existent before. I added some examples, but not too many yet. And also, as I said, I keep breaking things. So sorry if your sound breaks at some point. So some notable patches is the first one, that you can hot unplug devices. I added a dummy driver, which is very useful for testing, and this is why we could create a test suite for it. And the last patch, I don't know why I included it, honestly, but if you have a USB device, you can actually see its name on the mixer instead of saying USB audio question mark. For userland, I'm working on 2 new utilities and some future more. So audio is basically mixer, but for the audio card. If you use mixer, it will have probably the same interface. I will showcase it in a second. And it works like mixer. You can edit sound device properties, sample rate, and the rest. MIDI dump is a utility that just to test your MIDI device, because we don't have anything that can do it. ALSA has one, but it's very hard to use, and it brings quite cryptic information. So this utility, you can plug your MIDI, you press a key, and it will show what you pressed. If it's a note, it will even print the note and the frequency of the note, and the octave. The third is I wrote mixer, and I know Mateusz was very angry about this, and some people, but this was a past project, but I thought it would be nice to include it in case someone doesn't know. And as of the 4th bullet, you can do hot swapping with mixer and virtual OSS. So hot swapping is basically, if any of you has tried to change the default device while playing music, you might have seen that the sound doesn't come out of the new device. Yeah, so this is because the sound driver, what applications open are the specific sound device. So if, let's say, Firefox opens /dev//DSP, that's not a generic device, that's actually a symlink to the actual device. So Firefox would have opened your device 0, let's say, So if you change the device, Firefox still has device 0 open. So in order to get sound from a new device, you have to reload the tab, so it reopens the device. So what virtualOSS does is it replaces this symlink. It's not exactly symlink, but it replaces this symlink with a virtual device, hence virtualOSS, and it's a generic device that applications open without knowing what's behind it. And virtualOSS is responsible for routing the sound to whatever device you give it. So if you want to change the default device on the fly, you can tell virtualOSS now stop using device 0 and use device 1. And because applications don't open now a specific device, your sound will come out of the new device instantly. So I patched Mixer to detect if virtualOSS exists, and if you want to change the default unit and virtualOSS is running on the default device, then basically it executes a virtualOSS command to switch the device on virtualOSS as well. And as a future goal, I would like to make this virtual device thing built into the sound driver, so you don't have to use virtualOSS. And sorry, that shouldn't happen. And lastly, I took over development of virtualOSS since Hans-Peter is no longer with us. And some ongoing and future work, more bug fixes, which includes making bugs also. Also implementing a generic MIDI layer. I don't know if any of you is using MIDI. Does anyone use MIDI on FreeBSD? Okay, 0. Oh, 1. Nice. Yeah, so if you plug a USB MIDI, it doesn't, so the sound driver provides a /dev/MIDI node, but this is only for devices that use an actual MIDI port. So if you use a USB port, which is what probably everyone does nowadays, it gets created under UMIDI, which is fine, but it's quite confusing and not very uniform in style. So the sound driver already has a unified interface for the DSP devices, so it should be nice. It would be nice to have the same for MIDI devices, and this will help also to add better OSS support, because currently it's non-existent for MIDI, and yeah, to make generally the code base more uniform and easier to work with. Also have some virtualOSS patches coming. The fourth bullet, I would like to automate this. I guess most of you who use laptops with the Intel driver may have had problems with headphones not switching automatically. If you plug the headphones, the sound doesn't come out of the headphones, and you need to patch the sound driver manually. And so I'm going to attempt to find a way to automate this, but I know for a fact that this is not going to work for every device, because some devices use non-standard pin mappings, and if you don't know these mappings specifically, sometimes it's impossible to find them, although most of the time they have some common patterns. So, second to last bullet, I would like to look into sound open firmware and dmic support. Don't ask me anything about it because I'm not very expert on it yet, but I would like to look into it because I know it's needed for, especially for Intel microphones, it's needed in order to get sound out of them, into them. And lastly, Bluetooth device management utility. I guess most of people who use Bluetooth are very annoyed with how our Bluetooth works. So this would be good to have. I would like to use BSD Dialog for it. If any of you has better ideas, we can discuss them. And if you want to track progress on the whole project, you can go to FreeBSD Multimedia. I post there usually every 2 weeks. And then music, FreeBSD for music production. As you can see, no one does this. No, I'm kidding. Some people actually want to do this, and in fact, it's pretty good. People don't really think of FreeBSD as a good operating system for music creation, but it has all the machinery to actually be very powerful. For a fact, it's way faster than most audio systems we have. It just lacks the utilities or the ease of configuration that other audio systems have. And also we have BitPerfect and M-mapped audio, which I don't know, others I think SNDI, for example, doesn't have this. And bit perfect means that the program, if you record, let's say, your input bypasses all the processing chain of the driver and goes straight to the audio card, which can improve latencies drastically if you're recording and you want to, for example, monitor your audio. And lastly, we already have a very adequate collection of DAWs, so recording programs, and LV2 ports. LV2s are plugins for MIDI, or audio plugins in general, similar to VSTs for Windows, if you used any of this. So I don't remember who did the porting to FreeBSD, but I think it's one guy who did most of the porting, so I wish I had remembered to put his name here. And so that's not my studio, because my studio is very sad, but that's from a music producer on FreeBSD who also did a talk, I think, on audio a few years ago. That's his studio, and he's not here today, as far as I know. And he records actual albums with his band, so I guess it's possible to make music. So some acknowledgements, Ed, for giving nice feedback and ideas on reviewing my patches. Florian Valpen for being also very good on the reviews and giving me very, very helpful feedback. And Goran is a guy with this studio, basically, who also inspired me to work on this project. So that's the talk. Oh, and sorry, I said I would showcase the new tools. So let's see. So we'll use the dummy driver to showcase this as well. Okay, it works. So the audio application is you just write audio and it spits out in the mixer format properties about the audio card. Some of them are editable. I think the man page says which of them are editable. Like I think the sample rate is editable. Some other properties are editable. And if you pass the V flag, you can see, so let's type it into less. So if you pass the V flag, you can see about each specific channel that's open right now, the exact properties of it, which is very useful. I don't like the interface, so if any of you has any good ideas on how to improve this interface and make it less huge, that would be nice. And about the MIDI utility, you run MIDI dump and you pass it the MIDI device, and now it waits for events. So let's press a C note. It will detect that you pressed it, that you released the key, and it will show which channel, note, frequency, and the velocity. Velocity is the hardness with which you pressed it. And also it can detect any of the other buttons you might have on your MIDI. Mine is very small, so it doesn't have anything too crazy, but you can see. So what this utility does, it's very useful if you want to make sure that your MIDI is functioning properly, if any key is broken, if it's usable. So that's it. Any questions? No questions. So thank you, and have a nice day.